It's time to update the settings. We'll be taking a look at a special kind of action hook. In the resource section, I provide a link to the admin_post_hook codex page. As you can see, this hook is a bit more dynamic than other hooks. WordPress provides a format for this hook. It's admin_post_ followed by the action name. The action name is defined in our form. In the previous lecture, we created a hidden input field with the name of action and a value of our save options. So here's what will happen when we submit this form. If a request is sent to admin-post.php, the admin_post_hook will run. WordPress will check for a post or get variable named action and append its value to the admin_post_hook to determine which function to run. Inside the admin init function, I'm going to add the action hook here. Since we named the hook our save options, the name of this hook will be admin_post_r_save_options. The function I'm going to run will be called rSaveOptions. As you can see, it's the same name as the action. You don't have to do this. You can name this function whatever you want. I do this because it's much simpler to know which function belongs to which action. With the hook ready, we have to create the file next. Inside the process folder, I'm going to create a file called save-options.php and define the function inside this file. Now I'm going to include this file from the main plugin file. Inside the function, I want you to output the post array. I'm going to echo out some pre-tags to format it, and then I'm just going to kill the script. Let's refresh the options page. We should see everything working just fine. Go ahead and select some options. If we submit this form, you'll see our data being neatly outputted and formatted for us. Now that we've confirmed our form is being properly submitted, we should check if it's being submitted by a trusted user. There are two steps we're going to take to prevent malicious behavior. First, we're going to check the user's current capabilities. In an earlier lecture, we talked about capabilities and roles briefly. We'll be using the same capability we used the last time to display this page. Let's empty out our function, and then inside a conditional statement, I want you to call the function currentUserCan. This function is provided to you by WordPress. What it will do is check the current logged in user's capabilities and see if that user can perform a certain capability passed in by you. Since we want to use the same capability we used to display the page, I'm going to grab that capability from the menus function and just paste it in here. I'm going to check if this function returns false, and if it does, I'm going to kill the script using wp-die. Inside the die function, I'm going to pass in a simple message and make it translatable. This is one way to prevent attacks. Next, we're going to check the nonce WordPress generated for us. This is pretty simple. WordPress provides a function called checkAdminReferrer. This function must be passed in the nonce we created. Inside the form, we called this nonce rOptionsVerify. So let's pass that into the function. This function will check not only the nonce, but the page that was referred. We're not going to put this function inside a conditional statement because this function will simply kill the script if it turns out to be false. We can now start processing the form data and save it. We're going to grab theropts option so that we can override its options. The variable should be called recipeopts. All I'm going to do is update the options with the post values. I'm going to be using a function called absint. This function does two things. It returns a value that is an integer and is an absolute value. This function is also provided to you by WordPress, and I highly recommend that you use it. However, you should know that the Options API will sanitize all values for you anyway. Next, we're going to use a function called updateOption. This function has two parameters, which is the name of the option to update and the updated value. After updating the option, it's time to redirect the user back to the settings page. WordPress provides a handy function called WP Redirect for this purpose. The function accepts one parameter, which is the URL to redirect to. I'm going to use the admin URL function so that we always get the admin URL even if the user changed it in the WordPress installation. This function has one parameter as well, which is the path relative to the admin URL. I'm going to copy and paste the URL from the URL bar and paste it in here like so. I'm also going to pass in an extra get variable called status and set its value to 1. By doing this, I can check if this value is set, and if it is, I can display a message about the status of the update. I'll show you what I mean soon. Let's try submitting the form, and if everything worked out, we should see no errors and be redirected back to the options page. Perfect. Now we face two more problems. Our fields aren't showing the updated values, and there's no message to let the user know that the update was a success. You might have already guessed what you would have to do in order to display our options and its values. I want you to pause the video and try to figure out a way for the input fields to have the current values inputted. You already have the knowledge to figure this out. Go ahead and try to solve this issue. Welcome back. If you figured it out, then that's great. If you didn't, that's fine as well. We'll go over how to do it together. First, inside the options page function, we're going to grab the option using the getOption function and store the returned value in the recipe ops variable. Now all we have to do is reflect the values onto the input fields. For the select menu, we're going to use a ternary operator. This is special to PHP and not WordPress. We're going to check if the values are equal to 2. If it is, then we'll echo out selected for the second option. We won't do this for the first option since browsers will set the default value to the first option. Let's refresh the page and see if everything works. Everything seems perfect. The last thing we need to do is display the message after a successful submission. Right above the form tags, insert some PHP tags. We're going to use a conditional statement and check if the status key is set in the get variable, and we're going to check if its value is equal to 1. If this conditional statement is true, then we're going to display a success message. Refresh the page and we should now see the success message. This was very simple to do. In the next lecture, we're going to recreate this using the Settings API. I know that seems strange, but just go with me on this one. I'll see you in the next lecture.